All right. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna. I pray everybody's doing well. We're about to jump into this. All right. Greetings and welcome back once again. I pray everybody's doing well. I spoke about this briefly when I saw it. Again, like I said before, I wasn't really familiar with this young man. But the way in which this stuff is being handled, and I'm just watching it, and I'm getting back into the groove. I realize I am gonna have to chime in later on in the day. So I'm getting back into the groove of that as well. So definitely thank you for those who just joined us. But check it out though. I don't know what's going on in these YouTube streets, but ever since the monetization of YouTube, some people, yeah, like things happen. What's going on, Judah? What's going on? Yeah, I know, right? I was like, I'm over here meditating hard, India, like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to go back live later on. There's some people who's waiting for me to read lately as I've done so much reading that my eyes, the words are dancing on the page. So for those who are like, finish reading, I forgot what book it was. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. If we could get it on audio, that's kind of where I'm at right now. But oh boy, is Stephen Twitch, that everyone is talking about. He was the dancer from So You Think You Can Dance, and many bloggers and YouTubers are on here, day after day, video after video, what's the guy sacrifice because it's getting views, right? My thing is, there's a few things. If people paid as much attention while people are alive to the things that they need emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, then many people wouldn't find themselves in the situation like we're being told, allegedly, that he is in. Right? I'm not laughing. I'm just laughing back at it. I am sleepy, India. We're going to roll to we're going to see though. Right? That he found himself in, right? Now, we are being told that it was suicide. There's a lot of people who have questions because of the way in which the case is being dealt with, open and shut, which lets people think that, hey, something definitely is going on. But if there was something going on, what is the general public going to do? Like, would you be the same person who cared when the person was alive? I've said this countless times. We have people who are alive in this day and time who we wouldn't even, blow breath on, who may be struggling in the ways in which we're being led to believe that this guy was struggling, and we won't give them a listening ear. But when the finality of death comes through, all of a sudden, everybody's inch eye, private eye. I don't get it. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's late. I told y'all about these late broadcasts, man. Right? So I'm just going to read a little bit again, because if we don't learn anything from it and we're just only using it to boost whatever it is we're trying to boost, that just doesn't get it in the end. What's going on, Queen T? One thing that I found as I see some of these video compilations that's put together, one thing that stuck out to me is that the conversation around him is that they called him Twitch. You know how people love to put names on people when they're young. But when he started doing the Ellen show, which I really didn't watch, it's not my cup of tea. But when he started doing that show, he first came, his name was spelled all lowercase or properly. But if you notice, everyone now is spelling his name. To me, what is accentuated, what sticks out is that the T is lowercase and the WITCH, which is which, is uppercase. I don't know whose idea that was, but to me, that's very weird. You know what I mean? That's very weird, the way in which you are highlighting this whole witch conversation. Secondly, or thirdly, wherever I'm at this point, is And these are just my observations. So let me guys know if you've been paying attention and you see what's going on. We all know that to get into certain spaces, you have to be complicit. So I don't understand, even though someone wears a smile, you know what I didn't finish? Oh man, I just realized it. We didn't finish the Marvin Gaye. Even though someone, let me know if you guys want to finish Marvin Gaye, by the way. There was a lot going on with me, y'all. Please excuse. But once you go into certain spaces, Hollywood, the music industry, places of this nature, you're going to, and you climb certain ladders and accepted in certain spaces, you are going to have to play the game. Because if you don't play the game, you can't go into these arenas. What's going on, LF? Wait, why people counting? Can't he say finish Marvin? All right, we're gonna have to finish Marvin. We're gonna have to finish Marvin. He's sitting over there on my Audible right now, like she ain't playing like 3 months. I went to New York and everything got turned upside down. I promise y'all. But most I bless, we're here and everything is good. You down for finishing Marvin? Yeah, I wanted to see what was happening. But as we can see, many people want to get into the space. They want to get into the limelight, but they want to get to the forefront. They want it. We don't know what the person agrees to when they're sitting at that table. We don't know the interest rate. We don't know what the conversation was when they opened the door. He married, yes. We could get into that down the road. Judah said he married a Becky. But we don't know the conversation. So to pretend down the road is like the person was such a nice guy. If you're working at a certain place, if you're in a certain realm, then to a certain degree, what year are we in? 2022? We already know how it goes. So no matter if the person is nice or mean or has 50 Brazilian butt lifts, we know, and they know because they have said it. Similar thing that we're seeing going on with Kanye at this time. He made the deal. He didn't really like the deal. He liked it when the going was good, but now he doesn't like it and he wants out. You know what I mean? That kind of vibration. So the people are making lots of videos inquiring as to whether or not if it was a sacrifice. But he already sacrificed. You have to sacrifice to be on a show. And there are many people who come out and say that the Ellen DeGeneres show was not a hospitable environment. This is without the sacrifice, without all of the other stuff. The environment wasn't good. But for some strange reason, in the clips that I'm seeing, she had an affinity towards him. She embraced him often. I don't know, the energy that she had towards him was very weird. You're crying, you're all teared up. There's something going on in this space that being able to be around the person for this many years and be on their show. I think he started on her show in 2014 and now we're in 2022. The show just ended. There can be many things that are going on behind the scenes, but the fact that he was able to be around this environment for that long of a period of time, to bring his wife around the people, to bring his children around, he already made the sacrifice. Whatever that was, we weren't there. India says, right, what does the end of the contract really mean? Exactly. When somebody says your contract is up, it depends. We don't know. But, if you a contract, and you were hired, you were 1099 and they hired you, after this thing is done, you ain't getting no benefits. So the contract for this show was up a couple of months ago. And then all of a sudden, even though the person is present, even though they didn't lurk off into the darkness, even though they're here where everyone can see, the person just runs off. Yes, it's strange. It's also strange that you don't want to go in depth on it. But if they did, is that going to stop people from going to these shows? Is that going to stop people from wanting to audition for Hollywood? No matter how many people have fallen off this cliff, Marvin Gaye included, that we're going to have to finish that up, right? No matter how many people have gone off this cliff, people still want it. So I'm trying to figure out at what part do we learn, if we learn, or are we just talking to hear ourselves talk? And if there was a person in and around us that needed help, would we help them? Or in this case, people just wait till the person is no more, and then they have all of all of the things, all of the advice to give them. Queen T says, I could be wrong, but he was suffering as a black man, and I feel came and couldn't speak on it. I mean, there's so much that could be going on. He was masking it with people like, but he was so happy. You can be a high functioning depressed. This is why I told y'all at night, right? You can be high functioning and still have depression. Let me slow down, right? You can be high functioning and still have depression. You can want success so much because of what you experienced in childhood, right? And just because you would be willing to do what it takes does not mean that the success is going to take away the void that was created in childhood. What if a void was created? So people mistakenly look at the material possessions, the accolades, and all of these things that at the core, at the end of the day, they don't really matter if someone is suffering. And for some strange reason, people are still out here, but he danced. Look, do you know how many musicians danced? You know how many, exactly, India, lots of comedians are depressed. Robin Williams, correct. Richard Pryor. I don't know what, I was listening to Richard Pryor's story. His story is sad. And in the beginning of his career, if I'm not mistaken, he grew up in a whorehouse. So there's a lot of comedians, as you're saying, that mask their depression with laughter. And after the laughs are gone, Jim Carrey is another one who was depressed. Jim Carrey, who came through Living Color and did all the movies, and all kind of stuff happened to him, and he over there painting upside down in a room. I forgot what interview I saw. So to say, the person danced and the person was smiling, and if anything, hopefully it teaches us that looks can be deceiving. Looks can be deceiving. Quincy says, "What's his choice? I keep saying Black people have to stop doing all this for money." And the issue, the sad part is, they have been doing it from time memorial. You know what I mean? Even I have to bring it up, coming straight out of late 1800s going into 1900s, many melanated people saw entertainment industry as an easier route. So they took that. It's an easier, quote unquote. That's what I read many saying, that it's an easier route if they go dance. Look at the story of Josephine Baker. I don't know if you know the beginnings of Josephine Baker's life. In the beginnings of her life, it wasn't good in the beginning. They married off when she was young. The beginning of her life was crazy. She had to end up going to New York and then running off to Paris. This is when she blows up in Paris because she's getting more accolades overseas than she is in America. There's a lot of entertainers' lives who were in the beginning, it wasn't well. And this gave them the impetus, this gave them the fire in their belly to succeed. But once they succeed, that success could not replace the things that they lost. And I don't know how many times we have to go through this and have this conversation, and people still act like, well, I don't understand. What don't you understand? Or is it that we don't want to understand? Let me read a little bit about him so we can get a little understanding. Yeah, most of them are manic depressive. What's the name of the next melanated lady? I forget her name. They call her the mother of Hollywood. I forget her name. And she's bipolar. Her name escapes me right now. There's many people, because to get on camera, to come in front of, and this is why I do it sparingly. When I look back at my YouTube, to come in front of camera, if you are not authentically in touch with who you are, you have to put on a facade, especially in the space of acting and entertaining. It's different if you're just sharing or whatever the case may be. And even still, you have to, how are you presenting yourself? But there's some people who get stuck in this space of, this is the caricature that I have to play. This is who, Jennifer Lewis, thank you so much. Y'all gonna help me at night. In the day, I'll be on it. But at night, shoo, y'all gonna have to help me at night, y'all. I'm gonna try. You understand? But exactly, she's bipolar, and you will see a lot of these actors. There's something else going on. Oftentimes, people who wanted to act, it comes from wanting to be seen, wanting to be present, wanting accolades, wanting the applause. Some people gravitate towards it at a very young age, but especially in the space of acting, you have to empty, quote unquote, your vessel. That's where it becomes problematic. When you have to empty your vessel, and a lot of the actors, really quote unquote good actors, which is where the word hypocrite comes from, by the way. You're pretending to be something that you're not, okay? A lot of these really good actors empty their vessel. That means they put their conscious mind aside and allow a space, a void for this different energy, this different spirit, something else. You know, I don't know if it's the one that inhabits his soul or what, but this spirit to come and embody them. Correct. You know what, LF? Tupac became bishop after Juice. Listen, y'all. Now, Juice was in my time. I remember watching Juice when it first came out. Tupac, I agree. I am of the opinion that after Juice, he really thought he was bishop. Like, he was so convincing that after, to tell you the truth, this is a true story. After Juice, I did not like Tupac. I did not like Tupac. I liked Omar Epps, but I did not like Tupac after Juice, because he played that role so well. And actually, when he was alive and after Brenda's Got a Baby, I remember that when his song started going left, I did not like Tupac's music. I didn't because I didn't like the energy. Even as a younger person, I didn't like the energy he was coming with. So some of these people, they open up themselves to these spirits. And the problem is, once you open the door and they come in, they don't always just leave when they yell cut. They don't always leave when they yell cut. Oh, Judah, you never saw Juice? Oh, come on, man. Juice is a classic. Juice, almost everybody was in that movie. It's a classic. It's a period piece, okay? It's a fine work of art, it is. But, you know, he really became that character. And a lot of people, when they go out into the entertainment industry, they have to choose their lane. Who are they going to be? The bad boy lover, the around the way. This is why I think I was reading or seeing an interview with Tony Braxton, and no, it's the biopic pic. It's the biopic pic where they don't wear Babyface and L.A. Reid is telling her, this is how we're going to cast you. Think about casting, you cast spells, right? So when you go to these casting calls and they're going to cast you, she is the heartbroken, lonely girl who's all, so she could never sing any happy songs. Why? Because that's outside of your wheelhouse. So when people are stuck in this space, it's limiting, because that's not the totality of who you are. But in order to market you effectively, they have to kind of put you in this box. This is why when you have products and you have product development, and then you have, within that, you have packaging. How are we going to package this? How is it going to be transported? All of these things you don't really worry about unless you're in the space. Like, as somebody who creates products, is like, yo, this will be a great idea. And the next hurdle is, how am I going to package this? And I'm talking about an inanimate object. But people, the Hollywood and these places do it to people. It's hard enough for me to figure out, how am I going to ship this? Make sure it doesn't get damaged. Make sure blah, blah, blah. All of the criteria that you need to check off for this thing to get from one place to the next and translate whatever message you have for it. This is what Hollywood does with people. This is what they do with music. This is what they do with personalities. And this is why sometimes you'll see that some artists will be like, they shelved me. They didn't know where to put me. They didn't know how to package me, right? Because they look for aspects within you to highlight. And then it's like, for instance, Tevin Campbell. This is why they'll be like the young girl, teenage heartthrob. Okay, but now you old. And everybody's still telling you sing Can We Talk, because nobody cares that you're 45 years old, bruh. You better take me back to when I was 13. And that's the danger oftentimes in these spaces. So we already know he sacrificed something, because he's there hugged up on her, pointing his finger like, she the one. If anything ever happened, come check her. India says they don't call it a craft for nothing. Exactly. They don't call it a craft for nothing. It's a part of them. That's why Cicely Tyson, she didn't play all parts. Right. You have to be careful for what parts you read for. You was traumatized by Boys in the Hood. Yeah, Boys in the Hood was another crazy movie. Boys in the Hood was another crazy movie. I would have to agree with that one. That was the era. And there is some conversation out there about how the Hollywood execs intentionally at that time, when rap music was more positive, KRS-One, Boogie Down production, informative music, there was some conversation that they had to turn the wheel. They had to take it into the degree of drugs and alcohol and 40s and all of that. And this is where we see all of those movies started coming out. The Juice, The Boys in the Hood, The Menace to Society, all of these movies started coming out one after the other. It's kind of like the reemergence of the blaxploitation era. Remember when I went over that back into the 70s? So once one movie started and they see that, oh, look, another low budget opportunity to make some money off the niggers, then you run over there and then you start producing these type of movies. So definitely, we know that he had to give up something early on. Baby Boy came later on. Jason's Lyric, all of these movies started coming out around the same time, and so they were taking it from one space, and it was accompanied by the music, right? It was accompanied by this music that essentially the culture began to devolve. So it's not like, even in the case of Tupac, he knew better. In the case of Kanye West, he knew better. But when you go into these spaces, they're going to ask you to produce what they feel is going to sell. My question is, who is the real trendsetter then? They'll let you get a little one-off here and there, but if you have a sway over the crowd in such a way that it becomes problematic, they're going to guide and direct you to where they think you should go musically. It happens in athletics too. Kobe said he would pretend to be Michael Myers. A lot of the fighters say they would isolate themselves and become monster-like alter egos. Yeah, it also happened. And the Kobe Bryant situation was also interesting as well. It's kind of like a Twitch situation. Something weird. You have children. You have a wife. Then all of a sudden something happens. But then information comes out that, TMZ always seems to be the first one. Like, does TMZ have the 911 tapped? Because how are they all getting the calls as soon as something happened? They on the scene. So yes, all of this stuff, all of this is new. They had that information out on Kobe when it first happened. But he also said he had to have made an agreement. He had to have been willing to give up something for them to allow him to come into certain spaces. This game is what's going on, Ronald. This game is not all about talent. It isn't. It's not all about talent. It's about what you're willing to do and how you are willing to play the game. And if you're not willing to play the game, then have several seats. And if you are, then they'll let you in. But once you come in, then you have to agree to certain things. So I'm trying to figure out, there are people like, was he sacrificed? What did he agree to? What did he agree to? He agreed to something. I don't know. At this part, are we still surprised? Let's read a little bit about him. Again, the sad part is that you leave children behind, and you leave the fact that it is continuous. Oh no, why he look? Who put this picture up? Why does he look like Kevin Samuels in this picture? Father help me. Hold on, I went over to Wikipedia and I was surprised because why is he over here looking like KS right here in this picture? Tell me if I'm bugging or is it my late night eyes right here? What time is it? 9:23. Father help me. Okay, hold on. Am I bugging or is he out here looking like KS right now? In those glasses. Who put this picture up? Why did they do this? Stephen Twitch Boss. You see how they capitalized the W? To me, these are little small things that's like, yo, why did you do that? Like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Okay, I'm gonna be over here reading and I'm gonna jump back over to the other side. So he was born the 29th of September, 1982. And he passed December 13th, 2022. 40 years old, young man. But he started since 2000, right? He started since 2000. So he was in the industry before he met, because he did some movies according to what they said. So he was in the industry before he met Ellen. She saw him from his appearances on So You Think You Can Dance. Sometimes people would be in the cut scoping other people out. And who knows? I don't know if the woman had nefarious things. I don't know her and I don't watch her things. But, who knows, right? But he would have been someone that she would have been able to observe from a distance. But again, he has to be willing at some point to agree. Again, we don't know what he agreed to. So let's see here. The way she spoke to him on the show, when I'm watching, it ain't Wikipedia. Wikipedia is like, give me money right now, run that check. Hold on, maybe later, Wikipedia. Maybe later. Come on, close up. What am I saying here? Right, so he was already out there and doing whatever he was doing before he got to the Ellen show. Some people are now saying, "Oh, he died because he was on the down low." I'm like, "Yo, what is wrong with the people? Did y'all say that before he died?" Although I'm not saying that it's totally impossible, and here is why. Although I don't know, but what I'm saying is, a few years ago, the owner of Golden Crust, which is a Jamaican franchise here on the East Coast, right? From New York all the way to Georgia to Florida. He suddenly took his life in his office. Similar to Twitch, but Twitch was at the hotel, but he was at the office. He had children, he had a wife, he had everything. He had, he had everything he wanted. He came from an immigrant family, and I bought the book, actually, The Baker's Son. And what I found interesting is everybody was trying to figure out, why did he do it? And I'm not going to front. At the time, I became a bit obsessed with the storyline, because I'm like, that's why I bought the book, the autobiography. I watched everything I could, because I was like, why would somebody who is seemingly at the prime of their life do such a thing? And one of the things that was brought up and exposed was he had a double life. So when I heard this about this brother, he kind of even reminds me of him a little bit. He kind of looks like him a little bit. He's looking like everybody right about now. But is it out of the realm of possibility? No, it's not. Could somebody there can be many reasons to why this happened. And like the world may never know. The world may never know, right? Let's see here. So basically, he had a career. He was already in the spotlight a 4-time. She gave him a solid gig in the sense of he was there for many years. He became a co-executive producer of the daytime talk show. So, he had staying power during that time. But again, it's not like he was not in this industry before Ellen DeGeneres comes around. Now, what could she stand from benefit from sacrificing him? People have a lot of theories. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think she stands to benefit from doing such a thing? Or did he make such an agreement before he even met her? Wikipedia be up on it, They be having somebody like up on the computer the minute something happens. Look at the death. On December the 13th, 2022, Boss's wife, Allison Hoka, informed officials at the Los Angeles Police Department that he had left their home without taking his car, which was unusual behavior. Police received a call about a shooting at the Oak Tree in Encino, Los Angeles, where Boss was found dead after failing to check out of the motel. His death was ruled a suicide. He was 40. First of all, just off the rip, there's some details missing. And according to what the people are saying, the case is closed, but the information is not holistic. So I could understand why somebody with a lot of time on their hands would make video after video. But just on the rip, just off of the thing, the 13th is a Tuesday. He would have left the house on a Monday, okay? Because checkout would have been that Tuesday morning, probably late check, the latest 10, 11 o'clock. If I really cared, I would look it up, but not to that degree. So if he already left the house, okay, police received a call about a shooting. The wife, if she goes to the place on Tuesday to the police, What is happening during this whole Monday? This is why now people are suspecting the wife, because there's not enough details to have the people be like, okay, they can understand. It looks like foul play. And I definitely can understand why it looks like foul play. Again, are we able to see these signs and symptoms in our own space, in our own life? Let me go ahead and see here. I'm not going to stay long, people. So let me look at these comments here real quick. And they didn't put much else after that. They give his filmography since 2007. They give him the role of the flamboyant dancer. Okay. Stomp the Yard. Hip Hop Nutcracker. So he was working while he was on the show, and he was working. So people were like, "Oh, he was broke." And he had finance. He looks like he was working the entire time. Like he had multiple jobs. So, I don't know. I'm gonna come read some of these comments, and y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me go ahead and get out some of these comments real quick. Yeah, that case closed real quick. It's like nothing to see here. Run along. I've been looking at the Nipsey Hussle situation lately, and there's a lot of oddities there. The man was supposedly shot 10 times, but there's no blood on the crime scene. Yeah, the Nipsey Hussle, this is why I personally, that one had me, and I'm not gonna front. After that, I didn't know much about him either. But when it happened, like I went deep dive into all of that stuff. So I'm not gonna front. The Nipsey Hussle situation also looks suspect. I agree with that. The actress from Friday just did a live that she was typecast as Bye Felicia. Oh yeah, see there? Once you in a role, like Steve Urkel. Once you in a role, what's his name? What's Steve Urkel actual real name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. See, now we over. I got calling the grown man Steve Urkel. You see what I'm saying? Because this Hollywood thing is a double-edged sword. It's also in the same thing in music. Or people want to just remember you as whatever they feel like remembering you as. And if you don't be careful, then this can also lead to mental health issues, because you feel like you have to continuously play this role or pretend. It happens in marriages. It happens in relationships. This is why I'm like, if we take it out of something that's beyond us, and for instance, say you met your love when you were in college or late high school, okay? And you met this person when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. Okay, you're that age. At that age, you do what a teenager does. Now it's 20 years later or 15 years later, and the person is still trying to typecast you that, oh, when we first met, you used to do blah, blah, blah. And I remember, and it's like, bruh, 15 years have passed. Do you not think I should grow? So is the same case with people and their parents. Okay, your parents may have did these things when you were younger. Remember that when you were growing, they were growing. If you were their first set of children, they didn't know what in the world they were doing, because this is a learn on the job kind of situation. You are learning as your children are growing. So if children don't accept that, you know what? My parent did that, or this is how they behave, but that was then. And if you don't allow them grace and space to grow, then you can never really heal that relationship with that parental figure, because you're always holding them to who they were 20 years ago. So this conversation doesn't just happen in Hollywood or in the entertainment industry. It happens in our everyday life. You have friends, you met them when, and they don't want you to grow up. They still want you to be that person. And you may lose friends because you come to terms, you say, hey, I'm not that person anymore. And I'm not going to continue for you to make me feel as though I have to play this role in order to be around you. This happens all the time. I've known people for years, and it's like, yo, you're bringing up, 1999? What are we doing? It's 2022. It's because they don't know you today. They don't know you in the present. And oftentimes, if they haven't grown, then they don't want to know you. They don't want to know the you who you've become. So this situation of being typecast can happen to people who have a million followers, or can happen to people who have no followers, who have social media, who have no social media. It can happen on the job, it can happen anywhere where people don't want to accept that you have grown and it's time to move on from that where they once knew you at. And it's hard because oftentimes we the people don't like change. Okay, there was no blood at the Tupac scene too. Y'all better stop. Y'all going into conspiracy theory land on me. People mock me when I mentioned that, but yeah, the Tupac thing was suspect too. I mean, there's a whole. If you want to go JFK, if you want to go Sam Cooke, there's a whole lot. This is not now. There's a whole lot of say what? Nah, that don't add up. And after a while, it goes quiet. Like Bobby Brown's sister, she's not giving up on the Whitney and what Whitney daughter name again? Bobby Christina situation. So what happens is the world makes all this noise, but the people who really care, the loved ones, they may be fighting tooth and nail for justice to be served for their loved ones after the world has moved on to whatever the new latest craze is. So yeah, there's a lot of situations that made you go, Aleph says, my friend told me I should get my nephew into acting because he's cute and thought it was crazy because I said, hey, nah. I met child actors and most of them were either slightly or very off. Like, what's his name? Orlando, what's his name? The youth that used to be on Nickelodeon. He used to be on That's So Raven. And he's out here, people like, yo, he's crazy. What happens to these child actors? What happens on these sets? Like even in the case of Shirley Temple, this stuff ain't now. This stuff has been. What happens to these people in these spaces? When you're someone's muse, okay, somebody behind the scenes is writing scripts. They're putting words in your mouth. They're telling you what to say, what would be funny if you did. Now, in the initial, if the person wants to do it is one thing, but now if they feel compelled to do it, and if they feel they have no other choice, and this is the way in which they're going to get out the hood, now it's kind of a situation where it begins to eat at you. And many times it starts off on a good note. In the case of Raven Simone, she said that her mother used to love looking at Cosby Show, and she wanted the attention of her mother. Listen closely. The child wanted the attention of the mother, and she told her mother, I can do what Rudy does, according to her in her own interviews. But that moment defined her life because that's the course that she went on. And look at her now, right? I was doing this Karen thing, and shout out to those of you who watched the little Karen skit. And I just told my mother today. She was like, I'm like, yo, just playing this thing for a minute, even though the jokes are coming from me, like somebody else is not writing them, they're coming from me. It can be exhausting, right? If you were then made to only be this character. Like if I came on here talking and you'd be like, nah, Muna, don't talk like yourself, talk like Karen. And then every time you show up, you can't be authentically who you are. You have to placate to your audience. That can be exhausting. And that can. So if he felt like, I say all that to say, if yes, he loves dancing. Let's go back to the Twitch situation. And for those who are out here in the winter storm, y'all be careful out here. Jaleel White, thank you. Y'all doing the thing today. Jaleel White, that's Steve Urkel's. Let's go back to Twitch for the situation. They claim he had a suicide note. We ain't never seen it, right? But let's say that he was troubled. Imagine you love dancing. The same thing I said about acting, the same thing about singing. You love dancing. Same thing about playing basketball. Whatever it is your talent is, playing the flute, the harp. You out here like David. Who knows, right? But now you're forced to do it. You're forced to do it because now this is the only thing that you have This is the only way in which you can market yourself so that you can be viable. So even if you don't want to dance, even if you don't feel like dancing, you have to get up every day and dance. Okay? And if you show up authentically you, this is one of the videos that's floating around where the people are like, where he was sad and it didn't seem like him. If he shows up authentically who he is, and if he shows up questioning his reality, and if he shows up upset about police brutality, if he shows up in any way except for the smiling, dancing Negro, then he's not going to be accepted. There was a video actually that he showed up in that way, and he was expressing how dissatisfied he was with the comments that he was getting. Like 99 days, he showed up as the smiling, dancing Negro. And one day that he took the mask off and he showed up as himself, his thoughts were not validated. And that's not just Ellen DeGeneres doing that to him. That is the world doing that to you. You know what I mean? The same situation with Michael Jackson, same situation with Whitney Houston. Their thought is that these people don't really love me. They love what it is that how I make them feel. And if you feel that way, if this is how you've built your career, if this is how you've built yourself up, it can be a steep fall from there. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. I'm just flipping the coin. That's all I'm doing. Because I mean, yes, I'm good for a conspiracy theory, but if everything we make into a conspiracy theory, then we can miss the nuggets that's right in front of our faces. It's iced over. Yeah, I heard. It's crazy out here in these squeets. Let me see here. The son from the Hughleys. He looks like a carnival sideshow. Oh no, I haven't seen. I haven't seen that. Yeah, so that's my thoughts right there. We're running up on 45. I'm gonna wind down here, but let me know your thoughts. That's something to consider. Uh when you looking outside at a person who you think has everything and should be happy and all of these things that we think, not realizing there is another side of that. They are basically the monkey, you know what I mean, on the stage. They are the elephant made to do tricks. You are there to entertain. And if you're not entertaining, the people are not, they throwing tomatoes at you. When the lights go off, a lot of Billie Holiday, look at all of these entertainers that had drug problems, tumultuous relationships, gambling issues. Why? I think I did a study industry. It consumes the people if you are not careful. It consumes the people who are providing. This is what we're looking at, even in Kanye's situation. I keep going back to it because it's still happening. And they're like, oh, the president is crazy. Oh, this, that. Look at what you wanted something so bad. In that documentary that came on Netflix, I think it was. Yeah, I did a review on a documentary. I think it was on Netflix. He had cameras following him around because he so desired to be successful. He knew he was going to be successful, that he wanted to get it on video. This is before the contracts, before the deals. Thank you, LF. LF is on it tonight. Orlando Brown, that's his name. Before the contracts, before the deals, before the people said they wanted you. You knew that you wanted to be in that space. This is, you got to be careful what you wish for. You got to be careful what you wish for. And now he's wearing White Lives Matter t-shirts so that they could break and he can get out of these binding contracts that he are in with these people because it robs your soul. Okay. So in the case of Twitch Boss, as we just read and just saw, he was doing stuff way before Ellen DeGeneres show. Hey, what's going on, Queen and Zing? A long time no see, long time no hear. Let me open up this real quick. And then I'm gonna wind down because I gotta sleep. I am gonna have to pop in at night. We working on it, y'all. We working on it. I'm trying to see which is the best day to do the Bible study because I'm getting into this Saul situation. This Saul situation is bringing it out. Let me know if you enjoying that Bible study when you love them and they hate you. I think that's the name of it. Yeah, and share the screen, like, and do all of that good stuff. YouTube still has me in this little. I'm in quarantine over here on YouTube. I'm trying to get out of quarantine. So, yeah, definitely, sis. You could hit it on the rewind. I put the link in the box. It's just my thoughts on how to handle the you halfway through the video. It's my thoughts on how it's being handled, how we the people handle death, how we handle situations when there are missing pieces, and if we're able to, if we even really care. You know what I mean? That's the part that comes sometimes agitate me. It's like it's dehumanizing people to a certain degree where when they're alive there's people who feel as though if they came to you with these concerns, they wouldn't be heard and wouldn't be valid. But now that they're dead and that it can be monetized, right? People are like, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it every day, all day, every day, all day, every day, all day. I'm like, what in the world? People only care after it's too late. That's my point. I guess that's what sums it up for me, LF. And why is that? Why is that? Why is it that people, especially into this day and time, don't care until it's too late when an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure? An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Really looking at the person when we have the opportunity to really touch and be in touch with them. Why wait until it's too late to have all of this long song and dance behavior? You know, you know what I mean? It's giving Jankra vibes to me, yo. I could be bugging, but it's giving Jankra vibes. You know, when you're driving down the street and you see the big vultures, the big Jankros, and you're like, oh, they sometimes they sit on the people's houses, or sometimes because they smell death, right? And there's certain things in the news, if it bleeds, it leads, or something like this, right? And that's Jankra vibes. That's Jankra mentality. Like you only now see the value in something when it's gone. You don't see the Jankro out there in the morning picking berries off the bush. No, the Jankro waits till something is dead and then they try to consume it. A friend of mine was suffering and she died recently. My condolences. And everyone was crying at her funeral, but she told me she thinks everyone was waiting for, oh no. Wow. 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 I'm sorry to hear that. And that's unfortunate. And that's the part that it disturbs me that to a certain degree. You understand? But on the other side, as someone who oftentimes open platforms, have these type of discussions, and I've been doing it for many years, to a certain degree, the people are attracted to people who don't care. It's weird, okay? People are attracted to people who don't care. So you don't find the right people, and you keep trying to go to the wrong people to have them to actually care. And so that's also part of the issue too, because there are resources out here. So the question is, if there are resources out here, why is it and how is it that the people who need the resources, for instance, in his case, he would have had access to resources. So how is it and why is it that he did not utilize? It wasn't for lack of money, or it wasn't for lack of access. If indeed this is what they said he did, then how do they explain him not feeling safe enough in a safe place with all of this love that's being said that he was surrounded with? Was that not enough for him to confide in anyone, someone, so that this is not the case? Queen Nzinga says pride. Yeah, there's a lot of wickedness in the land right now. There's a lot of pride in the land. There's a lot of arrogance in the land. Humanity is interesting right now. You know what I mean? Humanity is on one right now. And the more we see this type of things, it doesn't it's like it disconnects you from that human experience. Yeah, there's some people that are ashamed to ask for help. There's a meme that goes around that, the person is dying inside, but they're afraid to ask for help because all the people are going to do is talk about them, scandal them, and make them to feel terrible about needing help, needing assistance. But there are other ways. There are anonymous ways. There are hotlines. There are different. If those are not the people, then oftentimes we're going to the wrong people, is what I'm saying. There are people who've already showed you that they don't care. Why would you go to them for help? We have to think outside of the box when it comes on to certain things. And it's also culturally because we were taught, don't air your dirty laundry outside. So culturally, there is a wall that is up because your feelings were invalidated aforetime. You were told that this is not something that you should display outside to the public. This is family's business. So family creates the dysfunction, and then family walls you into this dysfunctional space, and so people suffocate essentially. Because the thought is, if I go outside and I get help, then I betrayed the toxic family unit. And this is why oftentimes all of this stuff is interconnected. I don't know exactly how he grew up, but there's something that holds people back from even expressing because they feel as though this is not the space. Also, even though it's becoming more prevalent now, people replace prayer. They put prayer in for everything. Just pray about it. It'll go away. Just pray about it. Just pray about it. Just pray about it. It's going to take more than prayer. It's going to take more than prayer. As we're reading the story of Saul, the servant didn't come and be like, you know what, Saul, I think it's a good idea that when the evil spirit comes upon you, you should just pray. Their prayer is good. But there are other components that the Most High, there's wisdom and sound counsel. There are other components that we have been given to be able to help one another get through hard times and spaces. But because of the cultural communication breakdown, among other things, we're not able to do that. The other day I was watching, and then I'm going to wind down. I'll put the link in the box. I don't hear anybody. Queen Azine says, shame to ask for help. Everyone talks about transparency, but don't really want to expose their real vulnerability because they know people will take advantage of them. Yeah. Men especially are only allowed to express limited emotions, right? A limited range of emotions. Yeah, he sure did. He sure did. And being that he's typecast, this is just my observation, being that he's typecast as this happy, enthusiastic, fun to be around, living out loud personality, who would he be able to go to when this is who he presented? Who would he be able to go to and say, hey, you know what? I'm feeling X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So you also have to, it's how people perceive you and how you perceive yourself and it's all of that goes into why people sometimes hold themselves back from having conversations. Even the strongest people go through things. There's some people, myself, if I'm going through something, this is why sometimes I just get quiet. I get quiet. If it's too much going on, I get quiet. There's some people who need to talk. I need to quiet all the voices so that I can think clearly. But people have their ways in which they deal with and resolve trauma. And if we're not in touch with that, if we don't know the cues, he's supposed to go to his wife. Well, I don't know, because she out here doing all these YouTube TikTok dances. We don't know that even, I'm not saying, I don't know, but that there was even a space for him to have that kind of communication with her. You know what I mean? I don't know. According to the story of how they met, I found it interesting that she would have made at least 10 advances towards him before he actually realized that she wanted him. That was interesting. I was like, this girl pushed up on him in separate occasions, texting him, brushing up on him, touching his behind. This is according to their admission, and he didn't pick that up. This is why some people are saying, hey, maybe he wasn't on that side of the tracks. I don't know. There could be a lot of stuff that's going on, according to one of the things I heard. And this is just lightly, because y'all know I don't want to get deep dive into this. I don't got the time right now. But lightly, he went to a dance, I think a junior college, and did dancing, and he was the only guy. So some of the feminisms, I thought that's what I heard said, Queen of Zinga, that she touched his behind. Like when she saw him on the Do You Think You Can Dance? She liked him. She thought he was cute. She was flirting with him, pushing up on him, doing all this type of stuff. And he wasn't giving her the time of day, right? He wasn't giving her the time of day. So it could be that he wasn't interested. I said that to say, because you said, well, why didn't he go to his wife? I don't know what type of relationship they could have had, you know, to where he felt safe enough to do so. Mm-hmm. When they say he born September 29th, oh snap! Let me go back and see let me see when he born. Personality also has something to do with it too. Let me go back. And then, yo, do y'all see these wild people out here on YouTube doing tarot cards? I can't. It's the Wild Wild West out here right now. September 29th. September 29th. Yeah. I'm going to come read this stuff and then I'm going to wind down. For the Bible study, I'm going to have to choose one of these days here. Yeah, September 29th is, yeah, they out here doing madness. They out here talking about, I could tell you the real reason he died. I'm like, yo, Skip, YouTube, get that off my For You page. That's why you get married, to have a helpmate. Yeah, you would think that she would be the one who he could confide in, unless she wasn't. We don't know. While y'all making powerful points, mental health is often a team effort, on top of the fact that a lot of people feel isolated. Right. There's a lot of people out here feeling isolated, even though you see them, even though they're here, even though they're smiling, even though they're doing all of these things. At the end of the day, that some people do that to keep up a facade, or to do that. It's like a temporary hit. For him, if he didn't do drugs, maybe dancing gave him a temporary high. And maybe he was this is my maybes. He was addicted to it because it gave him that little boost that he needed. But just like any drug that you do or any drug that you take, you have to keep doing it. And you have to keep doing more of it for it to have the effect that it once had. And especially if you're doing it and it costs so much. Now, even if he was a sacrifice, like some people are saying, and then I'm gonna wind down. The thought also came to me is, at the time that he started with these conversations in these realms, right, in making his contracts, he didn't have children. How do we know it wasn't him or them? How do we know? How do we know? Sometimes when you make the agreement with these people, it's either you or them. How do we know he said, you know what? In case of Kobe, it's him and his daughter. We don't know what happens there, but it's him and the daughter who goes. In this case, he has a son and a daughter, but it's him who goes. And celebrity doesn't mean real wealth, sound mind, or safety. That's a fact. Celebrity just means people know you. You are celebrated for one reason or another. That's the core of the word celebrity, celebrate. You're known. It doesn't mean exactly that. You have some people who are uber wealthy and you don't know them. You will walk past them in Walmart and have no idea. You have no idea. So we got this thing twisted. Just because somebody is recognizable, which doesn't mean that, as Queen Zinga is saying, that it translates into anything else other than the person is recognizable to us. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We at the 1 hour mark. I'm gonna go ahead and wind down. Hopefully, I said something or we said something that makes us go that makes us go forward and consider or reconsider and be there for those who may need us. And sometimes just take a moment. Sometimes all it really is a moment for somebody to feel heard and seen. So with that said, yep, 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 and yep. We'll talk again. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and you have a blessed night.